thanks everyone for attending this class. This is the Basic and Extended Breathing Concentration Technique course. This is one I'm very excited about. It's one of my favorite techniques, and it's one of the most powerful ones you can do. We're going to go over the basic and extended breathing concentration techniques, talk a little bit about the benefits that come with this training, how to get in the right frame of mind using a preparatory statement. We're not going to take long on that because we did it yesterday also, and how to take a few effective notes and make sure how to expand your progress through real-world application. You know, I like that imagery. It's pretty good. My name is T. Levon Lawrence. I'm a neural sculpting certified mental fitness trainer. I am a brain training instructor and consultant. We consult at Dynamic Mental Fitness Training. We consult with businesses, individuals, organizations, and nonprofits. I am also the author of the Brain Fitness blog at neuralsculpting.com. And I'm the host of the Mental Power Hour online radio show at blogtalkradio.com, where you can find hour after hour after hour of training in the archive, in the old shows. They're not just talk shows, they're actual training shows where you can get a ton of information and advice and guidance to help speed up your own progress in your training. I'd take a look at that at the Mental Power Hour on blogtalkradio.com. One thing, if you guys got a moment, there's a movie you might want to check out. It's not new or anything. It's been out there a while. The name of the movie is The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. This movie, there's some principles in the movie that actually kind of apply to what you're learning today in the basic and extended breathing concentration techniques, so you might check it out. There's a couple terms to look for. The movie is about kind of being fully immersed in the present moment, what psychology terms as the psychological present. Now, for most people, that's about a 3-second window of consciousness where you actually know that you know that you know you exist. Incredibly enough, most people don't experience that present moment awareness most of the time. Most people run around as conditioned human beings. They're caught up in thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future, fantasies, and that sort of thing. They're not fully aware in the moment. It takes a little bit of effort to try to be fully aware in the moment. And when you can get fully immersed in the moment and practice staying there, it will change your life, because it will change your perception. You'll begin to see things you never perceived before. Of course, it helps to have a little bit of guidance, but in the movie, the term they use is Mushin mind. It's Mushin. It's a martial arts term. And one of my top trainees, Damon, he knows all about that. It's about your attention bubble. And when you have your attention in the present moment, there's a term I use called land and expand. When it comes to land and expand, once you have your attention on a target and there's no struggle and you can kind of rest it there, your perception, which is tied to your attention, begins to slowly expand. Now, as you start to train, you can expand it a lot quicker, but naturally, your perception will start to expand. For instance, if I were to give you the singular mental concentration exercise and have you look at a candle in broad daylight in a public place, you can look at that candle and concentrate, and everything will fade away. But as you relax your mind and you have that candle in the center of your perception, you can literally start to detect the things that are around the candle and further out as your attention bubble begins to expand. But rather than that being distracting, what happens is that your perception starts to become integrated no matter how big your bubble becomes, so that you're in a state of total mental concentration, even though you can perceive all the environment around you. It's like being in this incredible state of oneness. You're in that peak performance mental state, but you're in this flow, this zone. And that's something that they have in that movie, The Last Samurai. So if you guys get a chance, you should check it out. Oh, the other thing is, to flow like water. When I talk about the flow in the zone, it's kind of like being like water. And if you're any type of martial arts fan, you know, Bruce Lee wrote about that. One must be like water, that type of thing. So be sure to check it out. Now, what are the benefits of mastering the basic and extended breathing concentration techniques? And of course, we have our 4 measures of success. First, you're gonna gain cognitive control skills. You're gonna get good at the technique itself, which means you're going to get click to open the questions pane. Oh, never mind that. Sorry. But anyway, you're going to get the kind of skills that allow you to be good at this technique, and those skills are attention control, awareness. You're going to start tapping into your awareness. That attention bubble of yours is going to be able to expand further and further while you're still in control of that attention bubble, which it can be a very profound experience. You're going to be able to detect thought before it ever sweeps away your attention. You're going to be able to decline participation in any thought. You're going to be able to allow a physiological impulse to fade away without it causing you to be anxious or taking you over. I mean, there's all kinds of skills you're going to be able to master. But best of all, you're going to be able to conduct the technique better and better to where you're going to have fewer distractions over the same period of time. Like, for instance, when you start, you may have a few minutes of good quality mental concentration, but after a couple months, you should be able to go, say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, who knows. I've got a couple trainees recently who managed to get to 15 minutes very quickly. Now, I had to coach them on some of the specifics because they were overlooking a few things, but they did very well. So that's a measure of success. The other measure of success is the knowledge you acquire based on your training sessions. You're going to realize that you don't have to operate by being compelled by drives and urges and thoughts. You're going to be able to act on your own from quiet serenity. If when you walk up to someone who would normally intimidate you and make you nervous and cause you to say stupid things or cause you to sabotage yourself while you're trying to kiss their behind to please them, you will begin to realize as a result of mastering this technique, you don't have to fear anyone or anything. There's nothing to fear. The only reason you react that way and react the way you do in all manner of situations is because of the thoughts that take you over, the thoughts that kick off the various emotions and impulses and drives that cause you to behave in certain ways. You master this technique, you rewrite the entire manual on your life. You get to stillness, you get to quiet, and then a whole new world opens up to you. You begin to tap into that forebrain and discover that you have far more power than you could ever imagine. Matter of fact, you cannot imagine the kinds of things you're going to learn here. It's beyond imagination. You'll have to step out of imagination in order to be able to understand it. You will be gaining the world's most profound knowledge. This is the world's most profound knowledge through these techniques. Your other measure of success, your benefit, is symptom reductions based on your assessments that you do. We just got done with a nearly 2-hour webinar on how to interpret your self-assessments. Let's say on your mental focus self-assessment, you don't like dealing in details. You get bored with them. They make you uncomfortable. Just the very idea of someone handing you something and say, hey, I need you to take a close look at this, it just bugs the heck out of you. Well, you master this technique. You will be able to, that will never, ever bother you again. Because the psychological mechanisms that would cause you to feel and react in that negative way about details will no longer be able to possess you. You will be in control of your attention and your awareness. You will be able to allow physiological impulses that get in your way to simply fade and leave you in a state of relaxed peak performance. Someone can hand you War and Peace, for crying out loud. You can sit down and read it with no problem because you will have developed a new power of patience. You're going to discover what that is. It's amazing. So the symptoms that indicate various deficits, attention control deficits, thought control deficits, impulse control deficits, those symptoms will reduce by mastering this technique. And practical application based on your life goals. Master this technique. All you got to do is set your goal and you can do it. there will be nothing to stop you. Because the truth of the matter is, and has always been, the only thing that's truly stopping you is you. And when you get out of the way because of mastering this technique, your whole life is wide open, the whole new trails that you can blaze. And you will do it in a relaxed, enjoyable way. And finally, there's going to be mental benefits, physical benefits, spiritual benefits, social benefits, and financial benefits that we don't even need to go over here. All the great things and great rewards that human beings truly deserve, if they're willing to put in the work, they're going to be yours. And all you've got to do is walk the walk, because you will possess the mental and psychological ability to go as far, as fast as you want along any goal path. Because your old habits, your old mental habits and psychological habits, they'll be gone. And they'll be gone because you've mastered this technique. This utterly rewires your brain. Now, before you begin the technique, it's good for you to do preparatory statements. We went over preparatory statements in the Singular Mental Concentration Exercise webinar. I'm just going to briefly go over it. When you write a preparatory statement, you're basically telling your subconscious mind, hey, here's how it's going to be during this particular session. This time is mine. That's the first principle. And it would go something like this. I have set aside 30 minutes for exclusive work on the singular purpose of improving my mental concentration, so that it will work more effectively to achieve my personal goals. The next principle is, it's your mind, guys. Your mind belongs to you. It works for your benefit, okay? It's your mind. And when you write your statement, it may go something to this effect. I have the ability to slow down and quiet useless mental noise any moment I wish, because I am the thinker behind all thoughts and the owner of my own mind. The next principle is that you're going to tolerate no interference at all. You're not interested in any of the stupid games that your brain is going to play because of its old conditioning. You might state, I now bring the full scope of my attention to focus on this work and this work alone. No distractions from outside myself shall steal my attention. I will treat every instance of chattering thoughts as though it were merely a bird passing beneath me as I stand on the mountaintop, keeping my attention on my task. That's your attitude right there. You don't care about what your mind produces, what your brain produces while you're doing this technique. Only thing that matters for you is your target. And the final principle is, there is nothing more important. Nothing. You might state, this work is the most important thing that I can do right now, and I reject all other concerns until I have completed this vital, priceless task. And that's your preparatory statement. It conditions your subconscious mind, and it trains you in the right attitude that you need in the other areas of your life. When you go to work, when you're dealing in business, when you're listening to people talk, when you're in a social situation, you want your mind on what you're doing. You've got the most powerful mechanism in the universe, the human brain. Well, that's a little egotistic, but you know what I'm talking about. You have one yourself, so why not put that most powerful mechanism to work in everything you do? That means you don't want to be distracted. That's the attitude you want. This preparatory statement trains your subconscious mind to have that attitude in everything. So let's talk a little bit about this technique, the basic and extended breathing concentration techniques, because it's the same technique. The difference is the extended breathing concentration technique goes out for 100 breaths or 45 minutes or an hour, whereas the basic, you're only doing a few. You might be working for 15 minutes. But as you get good at the basic, then you want to extend it out. You want to go as long as you can. Fact of the matter is, once you get good at this technique, you can go for an hour, 2 hours. And the profound experience is life-changing. Once you start to realize what this means, when you start to get your perception to stay still, and then your mind quiets down, and you start to get to know the thinker behind the thought. You start to experience yourself without all the noise that goes on in your head all day long. It's a different you once you get to know. It's amazing. So Dynamic breathing concentration activates the higher self-management function of your brain in order to exert intentional control over the parts of your physical activity that are normally automated by your unconscious mind. Most of the time when you're breathing, you never think about it. People go along for months and months and not even realize that they're breathing. It's something you don't have to think about. It's automated. Just like walking is automated, eating is automated, driving is automated, all these activities that, remember, I told you, you've got this most powerful mechanism in your brain. It can handle all this stuff. Without your participation, you could be totally asleep at the wheel, and that's the way most people live their entire lives once they get out of childhood. Well, when you're a child, you're awake, you're not fully conditioned yet. But society gets a hold of you and boom, you're conditioned. You're a machine after that. Now you take this training and you start doing things consciously. So rather than merely breathing automatically, you start to literally turn your attention to your own body and you begin breathing on purpose, and you start breathing in a specific way. And you're breathing in a specific way so that your mind will be forced to let go of its automated processes. When your brain is forced to let go of its automated processes, that's unique and novel learning. Your brain now has to learn how to do something that's normally common. It has to learn how to do it in a new, unique, and novel way. What does that do? It kicks off neuroplastic processes, because in order for your brain to learn, it has to rewire itself in order to condition that learning, those skills. So you take something as simple as breathing. Remember, simplicity is power when it comes to brain training. This is direct method brain training. We're taking the very skill we want to learn, and we're going after it. So you take your attention and you pour it onto your breathing. You stop breathing like a machine and you start breathing on purpose. That literally just supercharges the forward parts of your brain. It goes into activation. Alerts start going off. Holy smokes! This is not how I normally breathe. Whoa! Well, let me start paying attention here. I mean, you literally start away, and when you get deep enough into the technique, this amazing experience will happen to where you can literally feel your brain let go of your breathing so that you can consciously take it over. When that finally hits you, you're going to be like, wow, holy smokes. It's not happening on its own. I am actually breathing. And you will start to detect the fluctuation between automated and conscious breathing. It's two different things. And you will detect your automated breathing. You'll detect tension, anxiety, weariness, fatigue, rapid, shallow. But when you breathe consciously, it's even-paced, it's deep, your attention bubble expands, you can feel the tension in your body, and you just start to shake it off, relax those muscles, now you're in control. That's why this is such a powerful brain training technique. And then, of course, later on, you're going to make it more advanced. You're going to do breathing concentration while you walk down the street, while you're sitting down and eating, while you're doing your work at the office. There are many ways in which to apply this. Now you're getting into mindfulness, but much more powerful than usual mindfulness. There's a Buddhist, the Buddhist approach can be weak sometimes. It can take you years to start getting the benefits. But this way, you are in a state of concentration and being mindful because you are in control of your attention bubble. It's awesome. So, by using your mind to willfully regulate the physical action of breathing processes results in your brain directing a significant percentage of its resources to the task at hand. When you're doing breathing concentration, you're concentrating. That means it's more difficult for distractions to own your life. And remember, you did a preparatory statement. You're not interested in whatever games your brain wants to play while you're doing this technique. And by pouring your attention into the breathing itself, you're going to deprive resources from the typical and potential distractions. And the more you hold to your target, the less you will be distracted. They don't have the resources to distract you. That's why it's so cool. Now, when you're engaging in this technique, you are doing strategically directed and controlled attention. Where are you directing your attention? To your breathing. Your bubble, which might, you might take it from looking at your external environment, and you're shrinking your attention bubble and you're bringing it onto yourself and to your breathing. That is direction. But then you have to hold it there and you have to monitor it. Now you're controlling it. You're doing the very thing and engaging in the very skills you need to succeed at whatever you want to do in life. But now you're getting good at it. You're practicing something that your brain has never practiced before. You're training your brain. You're initiating proteins that are going to strengthen your brain cells and the interconnectivity among your brain cells. You're going to get more dendrites, more connections. That means your processing speed, everything is going to improve. It's amazing. You're building your power of resolve. You're tapping into your will. You set it up with your preparatory statement. That is your will. And now you're practicing it. And when you have your mind turned onto your target and you can feel distraction start to come at you, and you decide you're going to not participate in that, instead you're going to hold your target, that is the most important thing in the world. You're tapping into resolve, the inner strength, the inner determination you need to get better at this technique, which you will then transfer into every other area of life, especially business and career. And finally, as you're training with this technique, you're getting visceral experience in order to activate the neurobiological lock. Visceral experience, that means you're learning these skills on a gut level. You're discovering things that probably nobody else knows around you. Very rare for anybody to know this kind of stuff unless they've taken this training, or perhaps they've gone to a really good meditation class with a really good teacher, which most of the time you're not going to run into. Most meditation teachers are terrible. They really don't know what they're doing. And they don't know how to give that experience to the trainees, not in a very practical way. But so, this is something you're going to experience, and it's going to be very uncommon. You're going to tap into your attention, and you're going to know what your attention is. You're going to tap into your thoughts and recognize what they are. You're going to get to know their nature. You're going to learn what emotion truly is and how it's tied to thought and initiated by thought. You're going to learn how thought and emotion kicks off physiological impulses. You're going to know this on a gut level, very real, present moment, from a very present moment experience. And then you're going to do something about it. You're going to guide your mind and tell it what to do. And as you practice this, you're going to understand, okay, I can actually do this in other situations. Then you're going to get up and you're going to go out and you're going to apply it, and then the neurobiological lock is going to lock into place, and you will possess this skill. It will belong to you. You will no longer be as you were. So, the category of this exercise is intuitive. Although I have the basic breathing concentration, also categorized under a brain conditioning warm-up. We start you right away with that particular technique. But it is an intuitive exercise. It builds your intuitive and emotional intelligence. You want to be the smartest person in the room? Master this exercise. You'll be like a one-eyed man in the land of the blind. The areas of improvement that you'll experience because of this technique: attention control. Attention control. It's an intuitive technique, but you're going to be mastering attention while you're doing this. You're going to direct your attention bubble, you're going to control your attention bubble, and you're going to learn what it's like to have your attention bubble expand once you're relaxed and have it on target. Your perception is going to change. Your mental awareness is going to expand. You're going to see things and perceive things and understand things that are going to stun you. They're going to stun you. And you know what? You don't waste your time being stunned. You just keep practicing and keep training. That peak performance mode will become normal for you. You're going to experience improvement in your ability to own your own impulses, the urges that flow through your body. You're going to be, like thought, you're going to be able to detect them, and you're going to be able to not participate or be controlled by them. Your urges and impulses are no longer going to be strings. You're not going to be the puppet. Nothing is going to drive you. You're going to walk in accordance to your original and sincere will. You're going to, of course, master thought control. And the one aspect you're going to master is how to get out of thought patterns, not just individual thoughts. You're going to be able to know how to calmly be like water and stay in the moment with your breathing as your target. And any thought, any distracting thought, unwanted thought, chaotic thoughts, they're simply, if they do rise up, they're simply going to fade away. They're going to decay, which is the normal life of a thought. And because you're mastering this technique, you're going to have access to the peak performance mental states. You're going to be able to get in the flow or the zone any time you want, in any activity you want to do it. Sports, business, social environments, you will be in the flow. I wish I could convey to you what it's like to be me in these various situations. I see things that people simply cannot perceive, and you can have this ability too. It doesn't take all that long. It just takes consistent practice and commitment to learn everything that you can learn by doing it yourself. I don't know anything that you can't learn. These peak performance states, I get paid big time money to talk to athletes and business people to get them into a zone. And this is something that you're going to get for a bargain just by watching this and learning this technique. You can be in the zone anytime you want to. Now, your perceptual focus when you're doing this technique is close up. Remember, your attention bubble is you're going to shrink it down, and you're going to bring it onto yourself. That's where your focus is. It's like if you had a camera in your hand, where would your focus be on this? You would have to turn the camera on yourself, and you'd have to bring it up to yourself, because you're going to be focusing on your breathing. That's your perceptual focus. Your bubble is close up and on yourself. The type of exertion you're doing, how are you flexing your brain when you're doing this? Well, you're directing your attention. That's an exertion. That's the type of weight you're lifting. And you're holding your attention onto an object. That's the kind of weight you're lifting. Now, the application level of this is self-concentration. Remember, there are three types of concentration. There's task concentration. And mainly task concentration is just keeping your mind on a task so that you can get work done and be productive and move along in a straight line of mental focus to achieve your objectives. Then there's self-concentration when you fix and repair your own cognitive and psychological deficits. When you perfect yourself. That reminds me of an image that I have, a photograph that I keep on my computer. It's a statue somebody carved. It's really cool. It's a man in a block of stone, and he has a hammer, and he's beating away, he's chipping away at the stone. He's resculpting himself. That's what this is, self-concentration. Now, what are you going to need for this technique? You're going to need a timer or a stopwatch or a clock with an alarm to notify you that the session is complete. Because generally, this is a technique that you don't stop merely because you become distracted. You just continue it on. The second thing, and this is optional. There is a training tracker specifically for breathing concentration, and you can find it in the studio when you log in. When you go to the brain conditioning warm-ups training module, brain conditioning warm-ups, you'll find when you get to the breathing concentration technique, there will also be a worksheet for breathing concentration. What I find is that most people don't like using that because it requires them to complete a full breath with utmost concentration, and then let that go, pick up a pen or pencil, and then mark off that they had either a successful or a non-successful breath. They do a check mark or an X. And there's a lot of trainees don't like doing that because they have a hard enough time just concentrating on the breath. Me, I never did it any other way when I started out. When I first started doing breathing concentration, I remember being in a park in Pensacola and trying it out, and I couldn't do 3 breaths without my mind just wandering all over the place. And this, remember, at the time, I could do singular mental concentration or some of the other techniques or basic mental object retention with no problem because I practiced them so hard. But when I went to do the breathing concentration, my brain was not wired for that, which is why I tell you guys you need to practice the training diamond: intellectual, intuitive, sensory, and attention control techniques. You need to be training in all 4 areas as best you can so you can have an even development. I did not do that with the breathing concentration. So when I did it, I discovered I couldn't do 3 breaths. So I immediately made up this training tracker, and I focused in on each and every single breath, and if it was a successful breath, I put a check mark. If it was not a successful breath, I put an X. But the fact that I had to pick up the pencil or the pen, I used that as concentration also. Why should my mind wander merely because I'm picking up an implement and want to write? That's the whole point of developing concentration. So me, if I were you, I'd use the training tracker. I'd use that as part of the concentration process. Because when you're developing concentration to use all day long, when you want to develop every time, everywhere mental concentration, that means you're going to have to be able to get up and walk across a room while in concentration. You're going to have to open your car door, get in your car, drive all the way to where you're going, shop for groceries, everything, while in a state of quiet concentration. You're in control of your attention bubble. So why not practice by using the training tracker? Whoop-de-doo, you got to pick up a pencil. Don't panic. Use that to develop your skills. So, you know what you need. So, to begin the technique, set your alarm. Now, the session length is going to be between 15 and 45 minutes. I'm telling you, if you set this for 15 minutes, that's pretty weak, guys. Come on, you can do better than that. Try a minimum of 30 minutes if you can. I know some of you have some pretty challenging schedules with work and family, but come on. This is so important that if you make it your #1 priority, it will improve every other area, including family and work, and it will show you why you seem to never have time to do the most important things. And I assure you, it's an illusion. That pressure you feel, it's not real. The thoughts you think that make you think you don't have the time, it's not real. If the President of the United States can run the entire country and have relations with nations all over the world in a lousy 24 hours a day and get plenty of sleep, I'm sure you can handle this. So, give us at least 30 minutes a day on this technique. Now, if you use the training tracker, what I would do once I developed it, I decided I would do 100 complete breaths. And I discovered that, that could take a while. That takes at least 45 minutes because the more you do it, the more your body becomes relaxed. And then the slower you breathe. You discover that you don't need to breathe that much. You're taking deep, even, relaxed breaths. That is more than enough oxygenation. It actually gets to the point where you only get to 2 to 3 breaths in a minute. That's amazing. And you're wide awake. You're energized. It's just beautiful experience. Now, if you get up and you're practicing breathing concentration while you're walking, like along a path, of course you're going to breathe more often because you're burning oxygen. So set your alarm, 15, 30, 45 minutes. I recommend at least 30 minutes. Now, you're going to slowly, comfortably inhale. You're going to do it fully. A full inhale, and then you're going to do a full exhale. Full, but not straining. No strain. You don't want tension in your body. what you'll discover is most of the time when you begin, there will already be tension in your body because you're still developing all day, every day attention control, everywhere, every time attention control. And because you're still developing it, there are many times throughout the day when you don't even realize your body is in a state of physiological tension. So when you sit down and you start to breathe, you're going to feel the resistance in your body. And you're just going to shake it out. Your attention bubble will take care of the rest. You'll be able to detect it. You put your mind on your breath. You bring it in, and then you let it out. That's simple. No tension. And you'll know it, and you'll release it. When you take the breath in, don't focus on your chest pulling in the air like your normal breaths, like your automated breaths. Instead, you want to, with a relaxed torso, you want to inhale from the bottom of your lungs near the lower sternum and fill upwards. Now, I know that sounds strange. The truth of the matter is your lungs don't fill from the bottom up. They just open up at one time. But your approach is you're going to kind of work your body to where you're expanding your sternum, and then your chest. You're going to go bottom up. Remember, again, no tension. You want to do this in a relaxed way. Breathe in fully. Expand your torso, your sternum, and upwards. And then when you exhale, let me give you an example. When you conceptualize the way a balloon fills up from the bottom and expands upward, when you blow in a balloon, it seems like the bottom kind of expands first, and then the rest. That's the conceptualization you can have in mind. Although I don't want you thinking while you're doing the technique. As you first begin, go ahead, try to work it out, and then when you got it figured out, then go ahead and start the exercise for real. On the exhale, you want to release the air slowly so that it seems to be exiting from the top of your lungs on down to the bottom. The reverse of the inhale, that's all. And when you let the air, like when you let the air go from a balloon, it goes out the top first and then the bottom. You're just going to kind of move your torso in that way. That's all it is. Now, why am I asking you to do it this way? One, it's thousands of years old. This is a thousands-year-old technique. Two, and it works. It's scientifically proven to have an effect. And three, it gives your brain something to do, once again, to pull resources away from potential distraction. When you are focused on getting this breathing technique right, your mind is far too busy to go drifting somewhere because you're working. That's why. Now, I could tell you to just go ahead and breathe and just pay attention to your breathing, but it's going to be much easier for you to be distracted that way. Breathe this way. Now you have some work to do. You understand? Okay, good. Now, at first, we're doing the basic, so just try and experiment with about 5 full breaths. Now, when you first start out, you might not be able to get all the way through without going into self-talk or start thinking to yourself, or images just kind of take you over. That may happen. You may be the one. You may be this great genius who can go past that. Wonderful. But if you try 5 full breaths and you can't do it, then what you do is you can start over, and then you really focus in on 1 breath at a time. You only want 1 successful breath. You want to start that inhale, bring it up from your sternum up through your chest. You want to get to the top, maybe rest it there a second or two, and then exhale from the top. Let the air come out from the top of your lungs down to your sternum. And the entire time, you do not want to be caught up in thought. You don't want to be talking to yourself or anything. You just want a successfully concentrated breath. 1 is all you want. Then you want to repeat it and do it again, and then again, and then again, until you can get to 5 full breaths like that. And then when you've done that, you can count that as a success. And then it's time to improve on it. When you can do 5 fully attended breaths without thought or other distractions stealing your attention away from the rich, full experience of breathing, then you can extend the number until you reach 50 to 100 breaths. If you take 50, it may take you about half an hour. If you do 100, it can take you upwards of an hour, because remember, your breaths are going to slow down. If it takes you 20 minutes to do 100, you've done it wrong. You've not taken your time. You've not slowly inhaled, rested at the top, and then exhaled. Now, because your breathing patterns are automatic normally, if you find yourself getting tired or exhausted because of doing this, just let it go and breathe normally for a couple minutes. Okay, get your regular breathing back, and then go ahead and start again, because it's going to take your mind, your brain, and your body some time to get used to you doing this. Now, you're not going to be doing this all day as any matter of habit. You're just going to be doing during the training sessions. But it's going to teach you some things about how you can take yourself out of tense situations, how you can rescue yourself anytime during the day. And you can always rely on this technique. You can always lean on it and go back to it anytime you want throughout the day, when you need to center yourself, when you need to gather yourself together and gather your resources and get ready to do something of significance, or just simply you want to feel good. This is a perfect technique for this. Are your thoughts kicking your behind in a particular moment? You want to get out of that pattern? You want to stop suffering in that moment? Extended breathing concentration, because you cannot suffer while you're doing this technique. It's impossible. The brain can't do the two things at once. So do you see how this can be such a rescuing technique? It's awesome. While you're doing the technique, again, don't analyze, don't talk to yourself, don't criticize yourself. You're not doing it perfectly, whoop-de-doo, don't worry about it. Just keep working it. You'll get better. That's what your brain does. It rewires in order to help you get better. That's its natural way. And remember, only your target matters. Don't resist and fight the distractions, because in order for you to do that, you've got to make them your target now. You got to go after them. And your distractions are not your targets. Your breathing is your target. Your attention bubble should be only concerned about that and the tension level in your body, and letting that go and going back to breathing. That's all. That's what it's about. Now, let's say you encounter resistance during this technique. You're going to have the four horsemen. You're going to have wandering attention, drifting off into thought. You'll deal with wandering attention, drifting off into external distractions. You might feel impulsivity, the drive and compelling urge to move around. And you might have mental or physical fatigue. Your job is to simply stay on your target. Don't try to fight these things. Don't resist. Just do your target. The rest will take care of itself. The only one you're really going to have to deal with is mental and physical fatigue. Take care of your body, guys. Energize your body. Eat healthy. Exercise. You know the routine. Eat healthy. Exercise. Make sure you've got the energy. Remember, your brain is part of your body. Now, how do you know you're distracted? I get that a lot about this technique. If you forget your target, you're distracted. Even if it's just for a few seconds. If you've lost your target, you've been hijacked by thoughts, or something outside yourself stole your attention, and literally you let go of your target and you went to this other thing, that's distracted, okay? That counts as a non-concentrated breath, all right? That was a corrupted moment of mental concentration. So those are two things. Either your own brain's activity totally makes you forget what you're supposed to be doing, or something external does it for you. Now, you are not distracted, or you're not fully distracted, if you're able to hold your target. If you still have your attention on your breathing, even though all this crap is going on in your head or outside, and you're still on your breathing, and you know you're on your breathing, you're ignoring the distractions and you're staying on your breath even though the distractions are going on, you are still in the game and you are winning. And that is awesome. Just stay with it. It reminds me of the illustration of the car that wants to go to a destination. He's on a country road, and there's suddenly you can see his destination, but a snowstorm comes out of nowhere. He turns on the wiper blades, and the only thing he cares about is the target. He doesn't care about the snow. He might have to slow down. He might feel wind whipping the vehicle around, but his eyes are on the target, and he keeps driving forward. He stays on the road, and he gets there. That's success. He did not have a totally clear, wonderful, sunny day of weather, but he managed to get to his target, and that is concentration. Now, here's the thing. The more he does that, the less storms are going to bother him. It's going to get to a point to where all he has is sunny days. And that's what's going to happen with you when it comes to mental concentration, especially this type of technique. The more you ignore distractions and stay with your target, the less distractions are going to bother you. The more clear your perceptions, your awareness, your mental concentration, your attention control, it's all that signal is going to become clearer and clearer for you. Now, make sure to take effective notes. When you use your mental exercise tracker or your journal, write the date, the time, how much time you spent with the particular technique. Make sure you write out any obstacles you encounter and how you overcame those obstacles. And then ask yourself, what does this mean? How can I apply what I've learned in this particular lesson? For instance, while you're doing the technique, you literally, before you ever got caught up in a thought, you felt it coming, you saw it, and you knew better, so you stayed with your target, and then that thought, that temptation, that impulse and urge, that faded away. That's a lesson for you. That means you can do it anytime, anywhere. That means while you're at work and you've got this report to do and it's long and it's boring and you don't want to do it, and people come knocking on the door, hey, let's go out to the smoke and joke area and goof around, and you know you need to get work done, and you're having these bad feelings because you want to be entertained, you don't want to be doing this, it's boring. Well, you just learned the lesson. If you want to overcome that, if you want to be productive, if you want to stand out from the crowd, if you want to get the promotion, if you want to make more money, if you want to outwork the competition, then this is the technique you use. You find yourself in that disempowering state, boom, go into basic breathing concentration. Give yourself 10-15 minutes. And when that 10-15 minutes is over, whatever state you encountered that would have interfered with your productivity is gone. You can now get going. And as you continue to practice that, you'll get to the point to where you don't even need to do it. Your brain automatically shoves all that kind of distraction aside, and you are able to produce. It's amazing. So that's why you take effective notes. Now, in order to help you take effective notes, we have a neurosculpting mental fitness exercise training tracker. You can get that when you log in. If you don't have it, when you log in, you get to the training page, you'll find a comprehensive overview. You'll find, how to get started now, basic approach. All of those have the tracker is downloadable. Now, there's one thing I want to note. If you're using Google Chrome, you're going to have a difficult time downloading some of this stuff. Google Chrome is awful for e-learning. I don't know what the deal is. You're much better off using Firefox or Internet Explorer as of this date. Now, let's talk about a real-life scenario for practical application, and we'll wrap it up with some questions and answers. Let's talk about an example of using the basic and extended breathing concentration techniques. Here's an example. Letting an anxious moment fade. Letting an anxious moment fade. Basic or extended breathing concentration techniques gives you the power to never be taken over by anxiety or worry. Let's say you get some news. You go to the mailbox, you open up a letter, boom, you've got this huge bill that you've got to pay, and the money's not yet in the bank. You don't want to be late with this bill. It's important. Now, the typical person will go through a lot of anxiety over that. Their thoughts will just start to race. They'll worry, how am I going to get this done? Oh, my goodness, I don't want, my PlayStation network, or what's the other one, my Xbox 360 network to be cut off because I haven't paid the bill. You know you guys are goofing off on video games. I don't want that thing to be cut off. What do I do? Well, in that particular example, or any other legitimate bill, or any situation, or your business, you need to find financing and you're having a difficult time doing it, breathing concentration. Because the fact that you're worrying, the fact that you're going through anxiety and turmoil, that actually pumps cortisol into your brain, and makes it more difficult for you to come up with solutions to your problem. So the answer then is to step out of those states, which you'll use the techniques and the lessons you've learned from your training. You center your attention, you place it on your breathing, you make sure that every breath is successful. 10, 15 minutes later, that previous state, that anxiety state, is gone as though it never existed. And the state you're in now is a peak performance state. Your mind is quieted down. Now you can come up with a solution to the issue. And the solution to the issue may be that there was never an issue in the first place. It may be that the only issue was the thoughts that were attacking you because of the incident itself. Not every thought that comes to you and pounds on your door saying, address me, panic, let's worry about this. Not every one of those thoughts is legitimate. Matter of fact, none of them are legitimate. You can handle every problem from a state of serenity and awareness. And you can handle those problems better, and you can prevent them from happening again in the future because you are operating from a peak performance mind state.